round up with a panel entitled Embracing NextGen Technologies, which ideally is what you will want to do after this morning's information dump. And the panel is being moderated by my colleague, whose name has just disappeared in front of me, Ramakrishnan Viswanathan. So if you'd like to, I got word blind. I will let you take over.
Thank you. Thank you, Robin. You could have easily called me Ramki, as the market knows me. So Robin said that we had 3 panels, one on digital banking, one on payments, one on credit. The common theme that evolves around everything is technology. It's high time we embrace it. So this is the last panel, as you said, which is embracing next technologies. Let me introduce my panelists. My first panelist, she's a veteran corporate banker with over 25 years of experience in clothing coverage, transaction banking, managing digital channels, and client servicing. She believes in insight-driven organizations, which has led her to champion data management and analytics program within the organization and lead the unit as well for the region. She loves to be a proud advocate of diversity and inclusion. For me, inclusion is diversity of thoughts, as you will see across the panel members. And data monetization and security, which is very close to heart. To hear more about this, let me welcome Pinaaz Kulkarni, who's the Managing Director of, at SCB for Digital Channels and Data Analytics. Your stage, please. Next panelist has over 20 years of delivery leadership experience across financial services, technology and consulting, leading a lot of business-led technology-enabled digital transformations. He is also the advisory council member of FinTech Tuesday. Some of them may know it, some of them may not know it. He's here, you can ask about it later in the day. It's a community of like-minded FinTech professionals fostering the development of FinTech ecosystem in the country. He is leading a generative AI lab within his bank and embarking on multiple use cases. To hear more about this, please welcome Tristan, who heads the digital transformation and EPMO at RAKBANK. My third panelist, he's the founder and CEO of the first independent digital bank in the region. Seasoned banker, is with over 30 years of experience, passionate about driving financial inclusion, leveraging disruptive technologies. Technology is already there. But he wants to keep solutions simple and easy for customers to operate. He made me open an account in half an hour's time when I had an interaction with him. Platform economy and blockchain are 2 topics which is very close to his heart. For him, user experience is key, and to hear more about it and how banks have changed and evolved, let's welcome Mohammed Khayata, who's the CEO of Maryah Community Bank, to the stage, please. My next panelist is a passionate, customer-centric digital transformation enthusiast. He has over 25 years of experience delivering business outcomes. His specialization includes intelligent automation, agile transformation, cloud computing, and open banking. His quest for knowledge has led him to explore Web 3.0 technology to deliver superior customer experience. We have been talking about customer experience. He's a strong believer of having a robust business and operating model and not just having a technology in place. To hear how banks have embraced this change, let's welcome Imran Kannuti, who is Head of Operation Digitalization and Transformation at Banque. Finally, let's welcome the IT professional who has over 25 years of experience having managed several technology implementations across domains in the region and globally. He has seen large-scale transformations from monolithic core banking transformations to what we have, the new-aged digital stack implementations, multiple platform implementations. And in his current role, he's a true evangelist promoting banking on the metaverse. Open banking, blockchain, and AI are other areas which are closer to his heart. So let's welcome Manoj Chopra, SVP and Head of Products and Innovation at Kiya. That rounds the set of panelists, and I would like to stand, if you don't mind. So I'll ask the first question to Pinaaz. Data-driven decision-making. That is pivotal in banking. And you head the data and analytics program at Standard Chartered. Data is today, we just finished a discussion on data. It's actually increasing the accuracy as well as the speed of insights. Especially when it comes to customer experience and risk management, beyond what we were discussing now on credit and credit decisioning. What is your view on that, and how you think, as Standard Chartered, the bank has benefited from leveraging data?
Thank you, Ramki. Good morning, everyone, and I hope you all have had a very, very insightful morning. So, Ramki, to start off with your question, I think data is, the magic word it's been a magic word for the really long time. For the longest time, it was called the new oil. It was referred to as gold in your business. And these days, there are lots of references, at least within our organization, that it is the oxygen for organizations. There's a lot of captive data that is held with every organization. And I think success will be differentiating those players who can harness that power and monetize it, but make sure that all of that is done when it's handled safely and securely. So at our bank, what we've done is, especially post-COVID, we accelerated the investment specifically into data. We hired a lot of data professionals. Earlier, we had probably, maybe 3 years ago, we had one CDO, and he had a small team of 3 or 4 people. Now we have a much, much, much larger team. We have a center of excellence that sits at our headquarter level. And we actually sat down and rolled out a proper data and data analytics strategy. So it started off with, first of all, getting in the right talent, and then putting in the systems and the infrastructure. What we've been able to achieve in what we can say is a relatively short period is a number of analytics tools, both externally and internally. In fact, the hunger for these tools internally far outpaces what our clients tell us what they want. Because data has been there, but it's just not been accessible to everyone in the form that they want. So a lot of these ducks we had to put in a row, and we've also had to create a layer above our CRM systems for our internal users so that they can use the power of the analytics that we've run on internal data. So making sure our RMs and our frontline teams are equipped with the right data solutions before they go and meet a client. So they have their entire portfolio in front of them. They have all sorts of analytics. We've also tied up with some very exciting partners. So we've tied up with Coalition, we've tied up with other fintechs who will provide us real-time, let's say, news alerts on the client base that we have. So we've done a lot of innovative things to serve our internal user. And then more importantly, for our external user, which is our clients, we've redesigned the entire suite of dashboards and analytics that we're giving them. And we not only do that with the accounts that they hold with us, but wherever possible, if they can arrange for the the end-of-day statements to be sent to us by their other banks, we can also give them a multi-bank view. So lots of action on data, and I think we're just still scratching the surface.
A related question, Pinaaz, is when you talk about data, we cannot skip without discussing 3 areas, which is data monetization, data security, and pitfall of misleading statistics. So how did you benefit from data monetization by managing the other 2 pitfalls?
So I'd say we're somewhere in the journey. We've not fully realized all the benefits of data monetization. What is data monetization? It's basically making sure that you have used the power of your existing data, and it has been used in such a way that it adds value back to the business. So it may be directly revenue accretive, which means by offering certain data products to clients, you know that you will engage them significantly more and better, and you'll get more business from them. So that is one side of data monetization. The other side is indirect benefits, like preparing your front line, making sure they have all the right data points, they have the alerts, they have the recommendations, they have real-time information available for them so that they can then go and do their job well, and then indirectly, that also means that they will be able to serve your clients very well. So we've embarked on the journey. I don't think, we're trying to measure this. It's quite difficult to have a direct correlation, but we are putting in tools to measure this. Apart from that, I think what has been more important for us is to make sure that we put in a very, very robust governance framework around the entire vertical. And that governance framework includes the extraction of data, the creation of a data lake, all the other tools around validation, who can access it, a data ethics policy. So there are a number of tools which are available. We've created layers, a data fabric, and we now want to create a data superstore, which will then churn out data products depending on the demand from the business and clients. And that we can monetize. So right now we're offering our external analytics dashboards to our clients free of cost. But sometime down in the future, when they get sharper, when we're already there are lots of tools which give cash forecasting, etc. But when we get better than what is available, we will start selectively charging for it.
Thank you. So that leads to Tristan. As transparency around data usage increases, AI is becoming an inherent part of customer strategy. So what has been your experience in implementing AI at? AI has become an inherent part of any bank's customer strategy. So what has been the experience of implementing AI at RAKBANK?
So to be clear, I'm kind of on a different path because I'm managing a generative AI team. With respect to the core AI, it's, I suspect, highly similar across most banks, which is that ultimately there's either a focus on what we can do to make better risk decisions and select out the customers we don't want. And there are many different use cases and ways in which those models are constantly being refined. With regard to the other aspect, which is, well, how do we improve the profitability of our relationship? There's quite a defined pattern of use cases that most banks are working on. I'm sure if anybody out there knows, you can get the use case catalog and quite quickly start to apply those. What I think is probably more important than what you're doing with the data is, can you actually operationalize it? In my experience, that's where the rubber hits the road, and in reality, most organizations struggle very badly because what you end up trying to do is have much more tailored and bespoke messages, and to a large extent enable those to be automated, otherwise the efficiency benefit doesn't kick in. And when it comes down to it, the infrastructure required to enable that level of individual messaging and making it a more responsive two-way interaction doesn't normally exist. And that's where the legacy of banks not being digital businesses really undermines it. So I'd say, you know, the problem solving of doing the initial use cases is not hard. How do you make it work operationally is extremely difficult.
Now, for any bank who wants to embark on a generative AI journey, what are the typical use cases you would recommend to start with, based on your success?
I think it's premature to call it success. We're just in the early stages. I think, you know, what is attractive but hard to manage is the concept of having high quality interactions directly with end customers that are intermediated by generative AI agents or bots. That has some ability to get done. Today, the reality is that, bearing in mind you operate in a regulated industry, and there is an uncontrollable aspect, which is what is the customer going to enter as a prompt. You need to most likely look at a deployment strategy that initially has some level of human intermediary, validating whether what's being said is smart or dumb, or worse than that, get you into trouble. And then, so, you know, the customer interface solutions will take time to evolve. I'd see, you know, we'll start to see some pretty impactful things happening in the next 12 to 18 months, and then it'll roll forward. With respect to what can be done within the organization, it's basically an adrenaline shot. And the ability to drive productivity by either you know, making it a lot easier to produce higher quality code from the engineering side, and to put in place rules that de-risk some of the things that human error can result in. Or being able to problem solve use cases. For example, if you want to know if you're regulatory compliant and you'd like to deploy a routine to go and check different communications. Those types of things can be done now at scale in a way that's not really been possible before, and the level of effort is much lower. So it's really about, you know, creating an interface where non-technical individuals can speak to technology to get it to do what they want.
So you just talked about regulated environment. So what are the considerations you take into account while selecting and implementing AI technology?
At this point, of course, judgment's required. It's not a prescribed formula. What we do, we have an ethics committee, and to begin with, we look at global leaders and adopting standards they have. And then that should be kind of a balancing force, since there are concerns about bias and other potential downsides of using AI models. And I think that's something to be conscious of, and also to be clear what the no-go areas are and the guardrails around what we will and will not accept.
Thank you. So Mohammed, on to you. For a digital bank like yours, you know, who has been successful since the launch, technology is the biggest differentiator. How have you used technology on the cloud to create a digital experience while still shaping the branch of the future, what we call as phygital experience?
Thank you very much, Ram. So we've developed our systems based on the cloud. So we have Azure, they call it sometimes. And what we have done at mBank is the architecture is different from a classical bank. So as you know, from a classical bank point of view, you have the core banking system that connects to other systems like your trade finance, payment systems, credit card systems. This is connected to a service bar or a middleware. Then you connect with the application or the branches, etc. So mBank was designed to have the application to be the heart and the orchestrator of everything. So we take information, so we interact as a neobank from customers and orchestrate all connectivities through APIs with other systems like credit cards and trade finance operations, core banking. And all of that was on cloud. What cloud gave us, we have closed 150,000 customers as of today. That's in less than 2 years. And cloud has helped in terms of scalability, number one, and it helped with the security. So our cyber security was highly enhanced, taking and adapting advanced technologies. That gave us the freedom to focus on customer servicing and enhancing customer experience. So we achieved the cyber resilience and empowering customer to digitally get their service. That's from one angle. When it comes to our branches, we thought, do we just give services through application, or do we need to have some physical presence? So we wanted to define ourselves as a fully neo, or are we a digital? So we go back to the purpose. Our purpose was to fulfill customer needs as a community bank. And we have a very successful experience in Mall of the Emirates, where we said, let's start putting a smart hub. We called it a smart hub, which is the normal digital ATMs, cash deposits machines. And we have equipped those smart hubs with 2 people. And we found high traffic to the smart. I had one comment from one of the central bank inspectors. He said, he called me and he said, what do you do? I can see a big line of people, more than 30, 40 people. On the other side, there was a bank and there was no one. And their branch is bigger, nicer than yours. What do you do? It's interaction. So our experience, with all respects to AI, customers still need interaction. They need, you always build application the way you think, but at the end, you need to inform your customers, learn from them, and create a dynamic organization where you develop as a digital bank.
So related question, how do you link human touch and technology to bring out the best of world, but at the same time, going green?
Going green?
Green.
Okay. So that's very interesting. So human touch is very important to get the customer to feel that they are well serviced. So the first human touch we had is that we equipped our application with a facility to have a digital connect. So as a digital bank, we thought, what alternative channels do we give our customer other than coming to the branch? And we made sure that our application has a digital connect whereby you click a button and you connect with a customer, or customer service or customer agent that explains about the bank, and he's live or she is live. So first of all, the human touch is important to explain what customer requires and the need. And the second, we made sure that pushing papers to sign and to get approvals is also digital. So we're 100% green. We made sure all our systems, so we had the advantage of a late entrant to the market. So as you mentioned, it's how much do we carry, do we have any bag or legacy with us? The good thing is that we had no legacy. Systems were built on making sure no paper, no bureaucracy, and quick decision making.
Thank you, Mohammed.
I have to say, Ramki, yes. I mean, we envy you.
Oh, thank you.
We're trying to play catch up, but it is really hard when you're stuck with legacy systems and when you have a heritage like my bank of about 160 years.
Thank you, Pinaaz. I take this as a compliment. Thanks.
So just to add what you said, Pinaaz, it's not a marketing or any agenda, but this gentleman over a meeting was able to convince me to open an account in 5 minutes and got it opened in 10 minutes. So
okay.
that's how
Bravo.
That's how it is. When there was not a single consultant having opened an account in the bank. So that's how it is. So over to you, Imran, on that count. There are a lot of fintechs here, and fintechs are at the forefront of innovation. In this open era, how do you think bank in the region can easily collaborate with the fintech startups and third-party developers? And how do you create a seamless ecosystem for the benefit of the ecosystem at large? When I'm saying ecosystem, it includes the customers as well.
Thank you, Ramki. Good afternoon, everyone, and a big hello to all the FinTech partners here. So before I start answering the question how FinTechs are actually making their footprint in the region and contributing to financial institutions in the region, I would like to first give I would like to throw a small light on what exactly innovation is doing in the region, because it has a very close connectivity when it comes to FinTech, digital transformation, financial institution. All these things will come in the line, but it all starts with an innovation thinking. So in my perspective, innovation is what is actually taking place in the region, and it is part of every organization's success today. So companies, I mean, the financial institutions, those who have this innovative mindset, they have the potential to always look for new products in the market. And those who have this mindset, definitely they have a greater opportunity to retain your employees for a longer time. So innovation all drives everything. Particularly in this digital world, we are in the digital era. We are breathing digital every day, every hour, even in our personal life, in our organizational sectors, in our professional life. Digital is everywhere. Can I imagine a digital transformation initiative, a digital deliverable, without the help of a FinTech company? The answer may be no. Even though big banks like those who maintain an army of technology stack, an army of good skilled people, despite of that, the disruptive technology FinTechs bring in the market is definitely an added angle for all us. Without FinTech, I can't imagine any digital transformation initiative I can deliver today, particularly when they bring the thoughts of their analytical thinking, the data analysis, the RPA technology, the VR, the cloud, the blockchain, you name it. You have a lot of innovative technologies today, and do you think can we survive without the support of FinTechs? And the answer is absolutely no. So the encouragement is there, the collaboration is very much required, and I believe if we have a right collaboration, a right identification of the FinTech companies, I was looking at the Gartner's quarter triangle, whenever we look for some sort of FinTech collaboration, we always go into the market and look for the right potential candidate. So one sort of thinking is a Gartner's quadrant will always help us to identify the right FinTech partner. And that's how we engage the right people inside. And it has definitely yielded a lot of expected ROI for us. So the answer is FinTech's collaboration is very much required, particularly if you want to sustain in this digital era.
So a related question. Now, you talked about the FinTech ecosystem, collaboration. So how do you think interconnected, embedded financial services could be achieved through these FinTech partners with a secure and seamless integration?
See, definitely when you talk about integrations, always we should think about APIs. So this is where the technology, what we are talking about. You cannot imagine an integration today without an API in place. So you need to really leverage the API technologies that these FinTech companies are bringing inside, and you need to put a proper API governance for that so that you can build a proper API ecosystem. That's how it will go.
So in this world, everything has a moment. So do you think platform economy moment for banks, is it what we are in this era as they're planning or they're pivoting to everything as a service? So today morning we talked banking as a service. Now we have gone everything as a service. What's your view?
See, we all started with a couple of years back, banking as a service, platform as a service, infrastructure as a service. Today, yes, we are moving forward thanks to the artificial intelligence innovations these days. And I will be not surprised tomorrow that I may come and stand and ask, I want everything as a service. So there's a technology innovation we are getting today. So absolutely, tomorrow when you talk about open banking and all this stuff, this PASS, this infrastructure as a service, all this will be kept behind. And the answer is for you to tell that whatever the banking solutions we are talking about today, we want to be quick to the market. There is absolutely no time in this competitive market that you need to spend time to be in the market. So I want to be quick and fast, but most importantly, what I want is, I don't want to be fast, but I want to give the best solution for the customer. So for this, yes, why not? Utilizing the cloud services, I always want to look for a solution which is quick to the market.
Taking the same forward to Rajesh, Manoj, platform economy, everything as a service, technology provider such as yourself, what is your view? And how do you see this whole everything as a service coming from the pure technology standpoint before we get into the business standpoint?
So, like Imran alluded to, end of the day, everything is an API, and we are for Kiya.ai, we are mainly B2B solution providers. We mainly work with banks, and so what the need that we've seen in the market is mainly to be able to connect the fintechs and the banks. There is a need for a very strong API management solution, a solution that can bridge the gap between both banks and fintechs, and that's what we've been working on, mainly on the open AI and the open finance part of it. I think the important part there and the challenges that we've seen is about legacy systems not being able to, or there's a challenge in terms of the legacy systems being able to provide those APIs or expose those APIs to the outside world. And then the digital ones or the fintechs are the new age players, and it's much more easier for them to consume those APIs. But being able to provide that for those legacy systems, that's been a challenge.
Now, a discussion with Kiya will not go without discussing about metaverse. So what do you think, how do you think metaverse can help banks innovate and provide immersive customer experience?
Yeah, so I think very pertinent question, and we've been working with banks for the last 12 to 18 months, and I'll explain why 12 to 18 months. We've been around in the BFSI industry providing banking products and services for the last 28 years now. But our experience in dealing with banks across the world has been that there is a lot of misconception or gap in understanding with respect to what metaverse can actually do. So, for some, metaverse is a gaming platform. For some, it's just digital avatars which are kind of running around endlessly on a real estate and watching videos on video walls. There are also some apprehensions that banks have, which is that do I need to ride on one of the popular metaverse platforms that exist today? So there are some metaverse platforms that exist, and if I sign up with these platforms, then who owns the customer? Do I own the customer, or the metaverse platform owns the customer? So if I look at a Decentraland or a Sandbox, and if I have to set up shop there, then who owns the customer? Okay, so there is also this misconception that you've got to buy real estate on the metaverse. So for us, the way we imagine this is more about behavior analysis. This is more about having an emotional engagement with customers. It's about providing very, very hyper-personalized, immersive experience to customers. And that's the idea that went behind building Kiyaverse. So we launched Kiyaverse, which is one of the first few banking metaverse platforms globally. So we focus mainly on the banking space, and it's more contextual to banking. And over the last few months, we worked with banks, and we have been able to come up with real world use cases around the metaverse, on what exactly a metaverse, or what exactly you can launch on the metaverse. And it's more around private metaverses and not on the popular metaverse platforms. So some of the use cases that we came up were one is obviously the virtual branch, where you can you wear a VR headset and you can actually walk into a virtual branch. Now you would question, there are a lot of these things that you can do on a internet banking or a mobile banking, and why would you need a metaverse? But there are certain areas where, like for example, grievance redressals, or having much more detailed product information. What happens normally is, otherwise you've got to go through loads and loads of content on the website or across multiple places just to be able to get the right set of information on the banking products. So the other thing that we did was we launched this in both 2D and 3D. There's again a misconception that metaverse is only about VR headsets. So you can't function on a metaverse without a VR headset. Whereas, while that is true and it can provide a much more better and immersive experience, but for those who can't, where the VR headsets are not available, you can still leverage some of these benefits of the metaverse. So we launched this in multiple areas. We did some real estate use cases where we work with banks, and for example, you have to shortlist property, and normally, you typically have to then go to about 10 different sites, and you've got to evaluate each property, and it's a huge waste of time. So why can't you just show some of these properties on the metaverse, and that can be your first level evaluation. So you're not going to buy a property just by looking at the metaverse. So that can be, you can shortlist, and that can help you do the first level evaluation. We recently signed up with one of the largest banks in South Africa for their corporate trainings and for their wellness programs for their employees, where we are able to launch these corporate programs. If you look at banks, they're most of the large banks are across the country, across the globe. And running a training program for them means calling everyone to one place. You could do it remotely, but then the experience could be much more immersive if you're doing it on a metaverse. And from a wellness perspective, there are areas where people want to be counseled for various depression issues, multiple issues, right? And those areas we found that those can be very well managed on the metaverse. So that was the thinking, and we've been working. We've gone live with a few banks already, and we've got excellent results at the moment. Good footfalls.
Now, having said that, I'm just taking a question back to you, Mohammed. How can you use concepts such as gamification to improve total experience? Now, we talked about everything as a service. Now, let's talk about total experience, gone behind customer, user, everything, to increase stickiness, because you're a new age digital bank, and make it more appealing to the younger generation.
Thank you very much. We have the miners accounts, which is an easy account opening in Banque, and we have Generation Alpha, Gen Alpha product. And we are now looking for a FinTech to provide us with some gamification that would have the goal of young generation financial inclusion, and teach them how to save. So basically saving for the future, decide on some benchmarks. If they save something, they can get something else if they achieve a good mark at school. So definitely gamification will play a lot to bring up your customers from the childhood and get them to stick to you all the way up when they grow, as you give them maybe student loans, going further to car loans when they get their employment, house loans, etc. So gamification will play a big role. I haven't seen yet somebody specialized. So we as a community bank would love to work with peers, and that's something that we would love to plug into our platform, and I think this will make a game changer. And that could be done with other banks, so we're very open to explore the idea as we go with our digital journey.
Thank you, Mohammed. So when you talk about gamification, there's a lot of AI involved behind it. So a similar challenge on the AI front, Tristan, how do you reduce bias while training AI algorithms as being democratized?
I think that the bias issue is actually already there in the data, because different organizations and banks naturally have preferences for specific segments and targets. So if you build off the current data sets, you're going to see more natural repetition of those preferences. And of course, some customers are profitable and attractive, and some customers aren't. In a lot of ways, banks are utilities, and in that context, it's kind of universal service that's required. I think, when you talk about, I'd actually kind of like to talk about something slightly different, which is what will the experience of the future be as a result of what AI is making possible? And to a large extent, the bank itself has got a conflict, especially in the retail space, where banks often, and Brian was talking about something quite different, which is being attached to the end purpose of the customer. Banks are attached to the end purpose of trying to sell their products and make net interest margin. He's correct about that. What I would expect is that we will have quite soon technology that will enable individuals to have a personal financial assistant, and that assistant will be able to talk to you and explain things and help intermediate your decisions in a much smarter way, and that will fundamentally change the current way in which you interact with banks. So I think, look one step ahead, and or maybe two steps, but there's a very different way that you could actually design services around what the customer is trying to achieve and empower them to work on that basis.
Sure. Just taking that back to Pinaaz, we talked about data security. We talked about how much we can monetize. But there is also various customer touch points into various digital channels. So how do you think you would be able to leverage these multiple digital channels, especially when it comes to corporate customers, and ensure that you have a seamless experience provided to these customers, a unified experience?
Thanks, Ramki. So as of now, on the service side of things, what we offer is a hybrid experience. So those clients who absolutely want to talk to a human, we have in all our markets, the 60-odd markets that we're present in, there is a customer service desk available for wherever we have corporate branches. And from our platform, we have something very similar. So we have an AI-powered bot, which can help clients get the usual responses. So basically, clients will reach us mostly for status-type inquiries. What is the status of my trade transaction? What is the status of my payment? And so on and so forth. The bot can answer all the general queries. And if the customer prefers a digital interaction, we have a live chat option too. This will be a video call. The client can just click on the live chat option. There will be an agent on the opposite side, and they can very quickly sort out whatever it is. We've enhanced this particular experience with the ability to share screens. So if a client is, let's say, stuck on a screen where he's unable to authorize a batch of payments, and let's say it was payroll and it's really, really critical, and he wants somebody from our technical help desk to help solve it immediately, then he will use the live chat option and share his screen so that the technical expert can see what's wrong, quickly tell him what to do next, and you get on with your day. So every few months we try and enhance the digital offering, but so far we have retained on let's just say a reducing basis our physical client service teams. In fact, there's a very nice anecdote that I can share. This was a client in Qatar. They realized that their email was hacked and that a payment was made debiting their account to an account that they did not recognize. And it was past 5 p.m. There was maybe the relationship manager or the customer service desk had closed, and they were not able to reach anybody in the bank physically. So they went to the live chat, and because the live chat is basically resourced in our Chennai hub, somebody answered that call, and he quickly explained what the urgency of the situation was. And within a matter of 30 minutes, we had stopped a fraudulent payment of $60,000. So that's the power of having some of these digital tools, which are really, really effective. But what the thought is not lost that behind some of these digital connectivity, there is humans, right?
So how can Imran, how can Web3 technologies reshape traditional banking in the GCC?
Yeah, that's a very important thing that's really taking new shape in the region. When you talk about Web3 technologies, the definition is different for different people. But for me, if you ask, the Web3 technologies is nothing but it's a technological innovation in the internet platform. So the main technologies that comes under this Web3, I will talk about blockchain, and I will talk about the cloud, I will talk about the RPA and all these things. So today, as I said earlier, I will try to connect my previous words. I will talk about the digital transformation. I can say this RPA, this blockchain technologies, the cloud, they are all the digital enablers. So if you talk about what is the main contribution of this Web 3.0, definitely today whatever digital roadmap we have for all the financial companies, these parts are definitely an integrated part of that one. So like blockchain, they are definitely helping financial institutions to streamline their cross-border payments. Because today customer wants a speed of transaction, customer wants a secure transaction, and more importantly, we want to build a trust with customer. That is more important today. So those days are gone when in the banks, people at SVP level and the CEO level, they were defining requirements. Today, things have changed drastically. Today, customer is defining the requirements. So customer is giving the shape for organizations, how a product should be designed. So Web 3.0 technologies, definitely they are echoing the sound of customer. So I can say the technologies like blockchain, which is helping financial institutions to streamline their operations, to streamline their cross-border payments. At the same time, artificial intelligence, we all know what it is actually doing these days. And in coming days, we are still going to see superb commitment from their side, and a lot of solutions are going to come. So definitely Web 3.0 is a game changer in the field of digital transformation, and definitely it is going to reshape the world how the financial institutions are behaving today.
One question now to Manoj. With real-time everything, where do you think technology enabling this whole mantra of real-time everything?
Real-time everything?
Real-time everything. It's just not real-time payments, real-time everything.
Yeah.
So where do you think technology is enabling this entire mantra of real-time everything?
Yeah, so if I have to talk, kind of break this up into kind of, let's say for example, real-time payment. So there are now technologies which are available, and back home in India now, if you look at, there is UPI, you have this entire thing about instant payments, there is real-time payments. I think the challenges there with respect to real-time payments, and that the gentleman in the previous panel also spoke about, was these are more irrevocable payments, and because they are irrevocable, you got to be able to manage the frauds, or manage to be or to be able to ensure that these payments that are made right the first time. And that's where you also need your engine behind to be very, very strong in terms of being able to detect the frauds. And that's where you need to have a very strong anti-fraud, anti-money laundering solutions in the background, which obviously use AI, multiple complex algorithms to be able to detect these frauds in real time. So I think the back-end engine there needs to be strong enough to be able to detect these frauds.
Thank you. And as a closing comment, one word answer from everyone. If everyone have $100 million budget, that's something which everyone will be interested in. $100 million budget, which would be the real-time application within the financial services you would invest in?
If not financial services, real estate. Okay. So I will tell you, financial institution, I will definitely invest in artificial intelligence and FinTech.
My one word is only.
Okay, you can take 2 words.
Oh.
Or you can take 5 words because you're the only.
No, I meant only 100 million. I'd say probably all our problems are because of our legacy systems, and nothing talks to nothing. We have to build middleware every now and then. So I do want a back office like yours, where everything is digital. You start from scratch and everything is STP. So I'd probably go there, and definitely APIs is is a necessity. It's not a choice anymore.
As we see BRICS coming up, we are understanding communities of countries, things changing. I think I would invest in something other than SWIFT. It's going to focus on real-time cross-border transaction settlement.
Tristan?
Advice.
If you have to go with you can go from the other side of the table.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll just expand. I would only invest in services that generate advice for the end customer. And I think that's the aspect to be able to differentiate. Everything else is optimizing a business model that's under pressure.
Absolutely. So I kind of agree with him. And if I have to talk from a technology perspective, then as cliched it may sound, it's AI, I would say. It's about being able to provide really hyper-personalized experiences, and you need to be able to embed banking in your everyday life. So for example, if I have a bot which is able to give you, for example, can I afford a Europe holiday for a month? And if I ask this question to my bot, and if it's able to give me an answer whether I am actually able to afford, I think that is where it'll really make a difference. But there are a lot of other applications in terms of being able to connect with your health application. So basically using AI to embed applications or embed banking in your everyday life.
Thank you. Any questions can be asked to panelists. They'll be here for some time. And with that, we would like to conclude the fourth panel. And over to you, Robin. Thank you, everybody.